Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Maisa Azab. I'm the Executive Director of NAMES Network. I welcome you all to this webinar. Of course, as you know, NAMES is the North Africa and Middle East Science Centers Network. NAMES was established in 2006 and is hosted by the Library of Alexandria in Egypt. Our website is www.namesnetwork.org, and our email address is namesnetwork@divalex.org. And I have both the website and the email address pinned in the chat. This webinar is a collaboration with our sister regional science engagement network in Latin and South America, RedPop. We are celebrating the International Day of Scientific Culture, which is a celebration led by RedPop. And today we have two presenters from Egypt and a presenter from Mexico. And our moderator, Alejandra Leon Castilla, is Costa Rican. Alejandra has been the CEO of the Fundación para el Centro Nacional de la Ciencia y la Tecnología, CIENTEC, since 1988. CIENTEC is a Costa Rican NGO that works with public and private institutions to promote science engagement, science communication, and improvement of science and math teaching. In Alejandra's work, she constructs networks with other institutions in the country and international partners to improve science education and promote science engagement outside classrooms and in everyday life. With that, I will leave the floor to Alejandra.
Well, thank you so much, Maisa. Your Spanish is so good. I'm always impressed. Yes, I am talking from Costa Rica, and I would like to tell you a little bit about this celebration that peaks on September 28th and how it came to be. The International Day of Scientific Culture was started by a group of Mexicans and Costa Ricans, members of RedPop, that wanted to highlight the value and the role of science and technology in people's lives. And so we started that 4 years ago, and many countries have participated worldwide. More than 400 institutions have done so through social media, through various face-to-face and virtual events, targeting different publics, students, researchers, general public, academics, and policymakers. And so it's a joy to join forces with NAMES. RedPop and NAMES are joining forces today to bring this to you. And I want to say, I really appreciate the work that we've done collaboratively to get this far. And so the International Day of Scientific Culture invites you all to participate. We will have this webinar, and then you can also participate through your means in this celebration of science and culture, science among the people, bringing science to the people, how people use science in everyday life. And that's what this webinar is all about. The first person who's going to be speaking is Ashram Amin, is a seasoned science journalist and communicator based in Cairo, Egypt. He currently heads the science desk at Al Aram, one of Egypt's leading newspapers, and collaborates with the German Goethe Institute. Ashram is dedicated to promoting science literacy and awareness from the public, leveraging his expertise to bridge the gap between science communities and general audiences. His work emphasizes the importance of accurate and engaging science communication, particularly in combating misinformation and enhancing public understanding of scientific topics. So welcome, Ashram. I'll let you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Alejandra, and thank you for all the attendees. It's really a great pleasure to be with you today, and thank you for NAMES and RedPop for inviting me. For technical reasons, I prepared this presentation, but for technical reasons, I won't be able to show it. So I'll do my best to within the coming few minutes to talk about science journalism and how we as journalists we try our best to be part of the science community in delivering engaging content and bringing science to the wider audience. As Alejandra said, I'm a journalist. I've been working in science journalism for the past 20 years in one of the famous newspapers in Egypt. And for those of you who had the chance to come to the main building in downtown, we have a very famous artwork at the entrance where it shows the history of communication, the different types of communications that people have been using as tools, birds, delivery mans, through history till what we reach now with the sophisticated satellite connections and internet connections and all that. And one of the interesting things is that with the evolution of the social media and networks, there had been a huge shift on the sources of delivering a content. In the old times, it was used to be the scientists, the eminent, respectable people in their labs who would either directly communicate with the society or would talk to journalists and then the journalists will try their best to simplify this content to the wider audience. Nowadays, things are much more complicated, and we're living in a circular, non-stop, vivid environment of delivering content, whether it's true content or fake content. It all depends on the level of awareness of the people, the level of engagement, and how far the media and the is there to pick, purify, to block the fake content, the misleading information, and to deliver the right type of information. And it goes without saying that science communication as science journalism is more and more important these days, especially with the endless global crisis that we're living, the climate change, the pandemics, and it's not just because our role is to verify the information and to work on the stories, but as well to explain why some content that is circulating around is fake and it's not correct, and it's misleading at the same time. I had one of the slides that there had been a few years ago a very famous cover of Nature magazine, and that was during the World Conference of Science Journalists in the UK. And they had on the cover, it was called the Media on Science, and they had two images of a science journalist, one who looked more like a cheerleader, and then the other was a watchdog. And they had this stereotype images of who is a journalist. Is he the cheerleaders who always talk, who sometimes exaggerate all the time when there is any news content breakthroughs or any new studies, or is it the watchdog that highlights and shows all the big problems that might be in the labs or uh, in the scientific research institutions? And to be honest with you, it's not purely one or both; it's both. Um, and another thing that I would like to highlight is that science journalists are not scientists. They try their best to deliver the content, but most of the journalists, they have always a big problem with the scientists in 2 points. First one is accuracy versus simplicity. Scientists all the time, they prefer to use the proper jargons, the proper terms. They when they explain something, they try their best to go to explain the history of it and then all the way till their conclusions. While for journalists, the way it's the other way around. They try their best to present why this content is important to the wider audience. They bring the conclusion first thing, and one of the main things to have an engaging community with this content is to simplify the jargon words as much as possible. And the other thing is accuracy versus speed, which is the scientists, they prefer to take their time. So whenever a journalist would interview a scientist, he a scientific event or an announcement of Nobel Prize winner or something like that, scientists would prefer to wait, read, and have their time to deliver their share when they are convinced that their wording is structured well. While on for journalists, we have we try our best to be on time. So and deliver the content depending on the type of media outlet. So for the online media outlets, they should be delivering the content as soon as possible. For the print, it depends whether it's a weekly or daily, and so on. So these are some of the challenges. I'll move now to maybe focus more on the science journalism in the MENA region. Um, uh, and I have been doing some research, and one of the interesting things that I found in the media outlet that I have worked for, that in 1934, in the newspaper that I worked for, we had the front page of a newspaper, a daily newspaper. We had a big story about um, uh, a research group who were going to for weeks to the western deserts of Egypt. At that time, during these days, we used to call them the Libyan deserts. And we, with this research groups, we sent a journalist and a photographer who were there writing daily reports about the researchers, what they were doing. And as far as I have been searching, that was the oldest scientific content that I found in a daily newspaper in an Arabic daily newspaper in Egypt, where science was in the front page and science took the front page, the whole front page of a daily newspaper. Um, the thing is that working in the MENA region is quite challenging for zillion reasons, especially when you're working for a daily newspaper or a website, because there is this daily competition uh, of political news, economics, sports, entertainment, and science should have a certain space in this competition. Um, with respect that, and with knowing that most of the internet the important scientific breakthroughs happen in the Western world, not in the Middle East, not in the Arab countries. Most of the eminent Nobel laureates are in the Western world and not in the region. And another challenging thing is that if you work in a non-English speaking country, the scientific journalist or the science communicator has the challenge of searching for the proper translations and the simple translation of the every day-to-day scientific jargons that pops in all fields of science and technology. Uh, um, aside of these points, and back again to the issue of knowing when and how to block a content, a fake content. I prefer to use the term fake content, not fake news, because I find it a bit contradictory, the word fake and news to be together in one word. So um, for sure, most of you who have been using social media and find it a good platform for networking, for delivering, for knowing latest news. It was as well a vivid content, a vivid platform to deliver lots of fake news, misleading information, and endless misleading information. Adding to that, sometimes there are non let's say it, journals who didn't have enough, neither the chance nor the training to know exactly what are the how to be a science journalist. And this is a training. For every thematic media, there is some guidelines that whether a scientist who turn to journalism or a journalist who want to be focusing on science, there is a list of guidelines that a journalist should keep in mind just by asking critical certain question, thinking and understanding a bit the the type of content that is delivery. And a simple example of that, there is a huge difference for and the scientists would know, between invention and innovation and proof of concept. These are three words totally different. And one of the things, for example, that we have witnessed in Egypt and in many countries, that whenever there is a young student in a school or a high school that brings an idea, sometimes the media would like to celebrate the presentation or the proof of concept, that by saying that a new innovation that will change the life in Egypt and do this and that, while the whole thing was just that the student did some readings and tried and wrote down on paper an idea that might work and might not work, and for sure an idea to be turned to a pilot model or a product or a service. It's never the work of a one. It's never a one-man show. It needs lots of experts and professional people who would work together. And this type of news, some people would say it's done by good intention, but it's not. It's just lack of information by journalists of what exactly is the proper wording. And for sure, for those of you who have been following the international news, and we have lived the days of Trump in his first term, when we had every now and then his statements about climate change and not believing in it, and that it was, as he used to say, that it was created by the Chinese and all these nonsenses. Um, and if so, to close this part, I would recommend for those who are interested in in the in the studies about journalism, fake news, and disinformation, there is a very interesting report by the UNESCO, and it's like a guideline for journalists and communicators, giving examples and educating communicators and journalists about misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, and the difference and the examples of it, and how to avoid these types of mistakes. And all these are might be mistakes by the journalist, might be mistakes by lack of information, lack of not having experience enough. But the much complicated informations are when a journalist is in contact with somebody who is supposed to be a scientist, but he's delivering pseudoscience. And pseudoscience, it's the content that looks to be scientific, but that it has no basis of scientific facts, and and um, and uh, um, and can't be repeated, tested, or have any evidence of support. In Egypt, we have a very famous story. It was even in some literatures stated as the Kofta Gate, and that was many years ago, about somebody who was supposed to be a scientist. He's not a scientist, and he delivered and showed an apparatus that should treat people with viral hepatitis C and HIV. But thank God this whole thing stopped. And one of the things that blocked this process was because there were eminent scientists who were able to talk directly through the social media networks, either in Egypt or abroad, like a very famous professor at MIT, an Egyptian American one, Professor Islam Hussein, who delivered on YouTube explaining in a simple scientific language why this apparatus isn't it's just a whole pseudoscience thing. Another challenge that science journalists might face, which is dealing with the researchers, and not all researchers are as professional as they should be, especially when they are accused of plagiarism. And plagiarism is in the for the people working in the academia is one of the huge mistakes that in the Western world, a professor or researcher who is accused of plagiarism is cannot anymore pursue his career as a researcher or a scientist. That's what uh, we have learned from and what it should be. So to cut so in a nutshell, to brief up the the main idea that I would like to highlight is that one of the good things of engaging the community is by in is to engage as well the audience, the readers, in creating the content. We had in the newspaper examples of that we have been doing by asking the audience about their opinion, their feedbacks, and engaging them on explaining scientific content. Another thing was to share with the experience with peers, journalists, science journalists from different parts of the world, inviting journalists to come to work in our media room and vice versa. And we have done this successfully with several German media outlets. To conclude, I do believe that science journalism is much more, and science communication is much more important for developing countries because it helps to raise awareness, fight misleading information, and development, sustainable development in medium economic and developing countries. So, anyways, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure to be talking to you, and I'll be waiting for the questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Ashraf. Um, please stay there because we will have questions at the end and we want to share with the other ones. And I'm going to now present Marwa Saudi. Marwa is an engineer and a leading artificial intelligence and educational technology expert from Africa. Marwa is a founder of Ideas Gym, an e-learning platform using innovative approaches to build STEM capacities for children. She holds a bachelor's degree in electronics and electrical engineering, a master's degree in high-power lasers and metamaterials devices from Alexandria University, and another master's from educational technology from the University of Tartu in Estonia. It is she's also awarded a Women in Business Innovation Award of 2024, very recent. Welcome, Marwa. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Alejandra, for the introduction. I am trying to, while I was listening to Ashraf, many memories came to my mind related to the importance of journalism. Because when I was a child, I used to follow the Ahram Science Club in the news, and it was a very great experience that used to inspire me when I was a teen. So thank you, Ashraf, for your presentation and for the invitation and for everyone behind organizing this session. Um, Today, I would like to talk from my experience and my perspective, which is I'm carrying many hats, not one hat. So I'm an entrepreneur who opened Ideas Gym since 2011 and have been working in educational technology and science communication since 2006. And the first job I ever handled after graduation from University of Engineering was from Faculty of Engineering was being a science communicator in the Library of Alexandria, and that was 2006. So science communication is very close and dear to my heart. And also as a researcher, as I am currently a doctoral student at Tallinn University in Estonia, finalizing my doctoral degree in AI ethics. Also, I see the importance of science communication when we are trying to deliver the outcomes of our research work. But if there is something I would like to focus on, it will be the passion behind science communication. And what I see is maybe science communication, in my opinion, is not like that much in country like Egypt because of the lack of the passion when it comes to science and mathematics. And that's what made me love science communication from the beginning, working in the planetarium after my graduation as a science communicator in one of the CERN labs. What was behind this was my passion towards science and engineering. And I do remember this experience very well because it was the spark in which I discovered my love and passion for communicating science. After a while, after I opened Ideas Gym, there was initiatives in Egypt enhancing science communication and supporting scientists and engineers to communicate science, especially for school students. And that was a pure reflection of the importance of collaboration and networking. Uh, that network was called RDI. I think many might be it might be known for some of the audience or for the speakers. And sadly, the program of RDI didn't continue its work in that sector, and that that network was lost with time. Though they were doing very great job in networking people and in promoting science communication among the Egyptian community. Another story which I saw it very successful and I passed by was my work in the AI tutoring system. So Ideas Gym, we used to work for like more than 15 years to deliver educational content in an edutaining way, in an interactive way to the students. But just before COVID, we moved to the online platform. That was 2018, and we had a question in mind how we can deliver um, content in an attractive way, the same way we are doing the face-to-face communication. And that required a lot of our science communication skills to be put in building an online platform, and that was 2018. And as a result of putting all those experiences and passion in building this platform and the content of this platform in a scientific way, that's why I first of all I went to do my master degree at the time to learn more about pedagogies and to see how to link learning, different learning pedagogies and their relationship with science communication was a great concern to me. And as a result, one of our courses was chosen by the UNESCO as one of the 40 important initiatives to promote artificial intelligence education among students. Then after COVID, we already, just before COVID, we started to develop our educational series and episodes. And here again, we started to put a lot of passion, experience, and science communication techniques, and also learning pedagogies, and how we started to think how the students or the viewer is going to see this content, what methodologies we should have, the video learning pedagogies, and all those things. And when I am using those terminologies, I'm not just trying to use buzzwords, but I mean that the science were disconnected. So to be a good science communicator, you need to know more about learning pedagogies, different learning methodologies. So that helps a lot in delivering a more interactive content, in delivering complicated scientific concepts in an interactive way. Then when we started to work with our AI tutoring system, we had many stakeholders in supporting this program, including the university. I hope I am saying it right. Tecnológica de Costa Rica from Costa Rica was one of the supporters. And one of the most important things, the network we have been working with to develop our AI tutoring system, that we had a lot of sessions and webinars talking about AI and AI ethics and the importance of this work. And we tried to do a lot of communication and science communication to public. And I was a bit lucky that my research work, either for the AI tutoring system or for AI ethics, has touched the Egyptian media somehow. And for example, last year I had to be present in around 10 or something interviews in Egyptian channels, talking and communicating what does it mean to have AI ethics, what is AI ethics, and what is green AI, and so on. And this networking events and collaborations between different universities, research work, and and entrepreneurs and so on, I think it's important. This is what I have touched myself. And that's what helped me to try to do my best to communicate my research work and my work itself when it comes to explaining the importance of something like AI ethics or the AI tutoring system to the public audience. So if I would like to wrap up this journey, I would say that inside each one of us is a very good science communicator. But this science communicator to come up on stage, we need a very strong passion toward what we are communicating. This is number one. And and I would say, okay, knowledge is important and reading is important. This is for sure, because when you love something, you keep reading about it, you keep developing it, and so on. But when you have even passion about it, you find new ways to communicate and show your love to this matter and your love to this subject that you are trying to explain. And the second point, I would like to elaborate the importance of networking. This is what I have touched myself when RDI was there, and this is what I touched myself when we have been working with the AI tutoring system, how those networks really help to push research work to the public and to the surface for everyone to get benefit from. So thank you. I think I just took 10 minutes just so.
Thank you so much. I think your contribution on education and on passion contributes also to the vision on science journalism that Ashraf just posted. So we thank you for your contribution, and I will be presenting the next speaker. Thank you so much, Marwa. Good to meet you. I'm going to present Salvador Jara Guerrero now. Salvador Jara Guerrero is from my region and is a good friend. He's a renowned physicist, philosopher, and science communicator. He is now the president of the Mexican Society for the Communication of Science and Technology, SOMEDICIT. He has a degree in physical mathematical science, a master's in educational technology, a master's in philosophy of culture, and a PhD in philosophy of science. His area of research is the history and the philosophy of science, with special emphasis on education, such as Ciencia para Niños y sus Papás, Science for Children and Their Parents, Un Tianguis de la Ciencia, a science fair in the state of Michoacan, Mexico. In October 2015 to January 2018, he was the Undersecretary of Higher Education in the Ministry of Public Education at a national level. So welcome, Salvador. So good to have you here. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Alejandra. Thanks, everybody. I'm really happy to be here with you. I'm going to share some ideas about how I think we can stimulate the use of knowledge in our daily lives. So I'm going to help and try to organize my ideas with this. Can you please put the next one? Okay, thank you. Well, I think the received notion of science and technology is that's good because it's useful. Everybody knows that thanks to science, we have huge advances in medicine, and we have increased the life expectancy, and we have improved our quality of life thanks to new medicines, new procedures in chirurgical procedures also. And thanks to science, we use the computers. We can be here thanks to science and technology. And we use cell phones. We have a lot of things that you use daily. And they are all of them thanks to science. Also, we are a lot of people in the world, right? And still we have enough food. And this is because we have improved the production of food, and we have improved the security of food and all kind of alimentation, and thanks to science and technology. I remember the energy used to be really expensive. We thought had we were gonna have to save a lot of energy like 50 years ago because we were running out of fossil fuels. But now we are using solar energy and the wind and everything like that, the water, and we have more efficient sources of energy all over the world. Also, in our daily life, uh, now we have, like we live in a paradox because we have lots of information from internet mostly, but however, uh, a very high percent of the information we receive is not true, is false. How can we defend ourselves, or how an average citizen can defend himself from the false news or fake news? It is only knowing a little bit about science and technology and knowing that so they can evaluate in a better way which information is really true and which information is fake. Um, another thing that I think is really important is that now we know that the problems in the world or the cause of the problems are not just one cause or one factor. Now we know that usually the problems are multifactorial and they are really complex, and uh, mm, we have to look for solutions only using uh, interdisciplinary approaches. Like I think the best example is the problem with the climate, uh, with warming, global warming. Uh, the, that is not only a natural phenomenon; it is also a social phenomenon because it is produced by the activity of humans. So, if we want to find solutions, we are going to have to make use of biology, physics, math, but also sociology, anthropology, because it's really a cultural problem. Um, Finally, I think the science should be seen like any other cultural activity. What I mean is that we cannot be only consumers of science. We, I think it's good if we know a little bit of science just to be better human beings, like uh, to have the pleasure of admiring the work of science the same way we admire a good painting, a good sculpture, or a good piece of music. But now, in order to stimulate or be stimulated uh, um, to know science and to use science in a better way, I think we have to love science. There is a conception which comes from Aristotle, which is the rhetoric, and it's the concept of seduction. I think in communication of science, what we have to do is to seduce with science. And seduction has like three modes, so to say. Okay, thank you. The first one is the so-called logos. It appeals to the audience reason. It's really logic and math and the way we take decisions only uh, making use of reason. It's like showing scientific knowledge as a useful um, knowledge, so to say, like new medicines, the use of technology, all of these things, uh, we know they are good, they are useful, because we evaluate them in a really rational way. Also, we evaluate the evidence, the facts, data, correlations, and everything like that. And this is the reason or the reasonable part of the seduction. But to be convinced, to be seduced, we don't use only reason. We use also something really important, which are emotions and feelings. Uh, there are a lot of decisions we take or we make, and there are a lot of decisions that are against reason, but however, we make those decisions because we feel good with them, because we love something, because we feel good with something. And this is the second aspect of the Aristotelian rhetoric, which is called the pathos. Uh, so how can we help to seduce people with pathos in science? Well, showing that science is beautiful, making them feel good, like the same way we feel when we see a beautiful work of art. And the third aspect I can think of is that science is like a detective's work, because we have to be very curious and you have to look always for something else. And it is something that really involves you and makes you work with a lot of happiness. Can we see the next slide, please? And the third, and the last one is the so-called the ethos in this Aristotelian rhetoric, and it appeals to authority or the speaker's status. That's why Alejandra read our curricula, because we want to seduce, so to set the audience by saying that we know things, that we have some status. So in science, making use of the ethos is to show the audience that the scientist is somebody who has authority, who requires a lot of preparations, who is an expert, and also that is very creative in the same way that I said that his work is like the detective work. And finally, the next one, please. I would like to say that something very important in science is the way we produce or publish the findings of science, because what we do is really to show the things we have found, and we are open to critics, and we are open to other evidences, and we have to be humble and prudential, because we never know if we really have the truth. Because in history, a lot of times we have thought that we had the truth, and it wasn't the case. So in science, we have to learn that what we know is only temporary, that it cannot be the definite truth, or it cannot be absolute truth, because we are always waiting for new evidence, or even for new arguments, or for new ways of seeing the same phenomenon. So science can play a key role for peace, which is something we really need worldwide right now. So I'm gonna thank you here, and thank you very much again, and it was really a pleasure to be with all of you.
Thank you so much, Salvador, for bringing this other view on science and philosophy, connecting to it, and talking about curiosity, detective work, and the search for evidence, but also how science, shared science, can help peace. So I'm going to open up now for the question and answer period, and I'm going to invite the participants to state their questions in the chat so we can share them with the speakers. I have a question that I can post to all of you, and I think it would help us to wrap up this webinar. And I have a question. What do you think is the most crucial challenge in communicating science to the public? And I'm going to ask each one of you about it, if you can answer shortly, and I'll go to the next question.
Okay, so I think that the most challenging thing is to know exactly your audience. Who is your audience? What are the topics, the areas of their interest? Are they young people, teenagers, elders, middle-aged people? So knowing exactly the audience is the basic challenge. And then afterwards, the better you know your audience, the better you would know their appetite, the themes that they would be interested in, and how to engage them more and more in science. So that's my answer. If you...
Thank you, Ashraf. Marwa, would you like to answer that?
I would say we need more participatory approaches. We need to engage all the stakeholders. We need to have more events with all the stakeholders. So when scientists come and try to communicate their work to journalists, to policymakers, and so on and so forth, and all the stakeholders gather, and we try really to reach something and enrich each other's. Here we can have a good science communication to the public. But before this, it's going to be very hard for someone who didn't study something just to take it from the surface and try to put some words over it, like decorating a cake. And when you remove the decoration, you find no no cake inside, just cream and cherries, but inside you find nothing, no content. And uh, one of the things that we used to tell the students in science fairs, or when they are trying to join any scientific community, and they are in school. I'm talking about school students, like in first years of high school, and we tell them, don't get your information from the journals. Don't tell me that your resource of information for a scientific information is is a journal, because this is not a reference. Maybe it's something misleading or something, but still some students could give you in a poster session that all the references are sort of of things from online journals. And I'm not talking about scientific journals. I'm talking about the daily journals, like the daily news journals. So it's really important to get all the stakeholders engaged, more events of engaging many stakeholders. That could be the first step.
Thank you so much, Marwa. Salvador, would you like to talk about the most critical challenges that you see in communicating science to the public?
Well, I think we have to do better. That's it, because lately the scientific literacy has not been improved in the world. And that's really worrying, because we have a lot more scientific discoveries, we have more technology, but however, the beliefs in people are not more scientific. The fanatism and things like that have increased all over the world. And I think that's really dangerous for the humankind. And science can help a lot in making a better communication, not only in science, in everything, because it's a way of argumentation that it's not by making war, by but by argumentation, by talking, by the dialogue.
Good, thank you so much. I think we have one more question we might be able to handle.
Yes, Alejandra, there is a question. I don't know if you see it in the question. I will show it on stage. It's for Ashraf.
What's the difference between a journalist and a scientific journalist? In your opinion, where should people get news from? Thank you, Latifa. Well, scientific journalists and journalists are both, they look for information. They do their homework by verifying the information, but maybe scientific journalism is part of a thematic journalism, where the journalist is focused on a theme, on a special field, and should be having ongoing training to be able and qualified enough to to know exactly that the content, if the content is good content or misleading, inaccurate, if this is science or pseudoscience. And this experience, you get it through training, workshops, and experience. Where should people get news from? Well, there are يعني يعني contrary to what Marwa said, there are media outlets that do very professional work. So not all, yeah, sometimes academic journals, there are certain types of academic journals that have paid content that is not science at all. I mean, so not all academic journals are that peer-reviewed ones, maybe. And I think that the media outlets that had their credit, they deliver good content, and they are quite well known. And even the international publications like Nature Science, they have their online websites where they deliver content that is that is for general audience. And in the MENA region, there are many for those who speak in Arabic. Al-Ahram is one of them, and in every country there is one leading newspaper that they do their best to have a weekly science page or science content delivered in their media outlet. I hope I answered the question.
How can we innovate in communication tools to engage people for better scientific culture is another question. And I think anyone who would like to answer that one, because I think all three might have different perspectives. Ashram, would you like to start first? Is that one?
Okay, sure. Innovate communication tools to engage. One of the ways to engage is to use, for example, the social media platforms by just raising questions and asking. We have been doing this, for example, and I had this during the presentation, by just ask. For example, one of the things that we tried in the media outlet a few years ago to engage the young people, asking them who is the scientist that live in the country and has a contribution to the society, aside the previous ones who left, who died many years ago. And through this contribution, by just many young students and university students started to raise names and give examples, and that was an engaging activity that we did in Al-Ahram, for example, a few years ago, just to bring the reader's contribution to the paper and to show what the readers think about this scientist in the field of biotechnology, solar energy, or whatever, and to have this back and forth. So my suggestion is to use whatever tool to have an engaging, vivid back and forth discussion with the readers, the audience, so that they feel that they are part of the story and the created story, and the voting systems and all this stuff.
Thank you, Ashraf. Is there anybody else who wants to talk about this? Marwa or Salvador?
Well, I think the first step for this part is to understand more learning and teaching pedagogies for the young age groups, because most of those youngsters are to reach them, you have to be present in their school, you have to be present in their social media, you have to be present in the YouTube channels for them, and all those channels. So that means that whatever content is developed for those age groups, we need to understand more the educational pedagogies and learning pedagogies beyond them. And once we understand this, we can develop more interactive tools and tools that can communicate science to these young age groups more effectively.
Thank you, Marwa. I don't know.
Hi, Alejandra. I am showing a question from the chat. And this, I
Yes.
think, Marwa also maybe goes also with what Marwa was saying before we give the floor for Salvador if he has comments. So, Marwa, if you see this question, maybe you can say something about it.
Yeah, really fast. I think we have to make use
Which
of
one?
all
How
the
can we explain or
tools we
communicate?
have.
Oops,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Schools for a young age in schools from young age. Yes.
Yeah, we'll start with Marwa and then Salvador.
Okay, for this again, this part intersects with educational technology. So educational technology and science communication intersect in this area. When you are going to use technology tools, how you are going to develop content with those tools, it undergoes with the studies related to educational technology plus the science communication of the content that is going to be used with those technologies. So we are putting layers together. So I'm afraid that many are using technology and moving like towards this hype and would like to engage students with more technological applications, with more technology devices without understanding or studying even the impact of those things. Even if you are communicating science by a game or by showing something there, and you are convinced as a science communicator that this game is communicating science without understanding the technological impact of this tool on the certain age group, then the idea itself is not going to be complete. So to have something very effective to explain technology or science, then both things should be going hand in hand to have a better outcome and better scientific understanding or learning outcome.
I think we were at the point where we were going to give the floor to Salvador to answer this question also. Go ahead.
Thank you. I think the best way to communicate the importance of scientific knowledge is knowing a little bit of science. It's like how can I teach the importance of knowing or appreciate a painting or a sculpture? I have just to see them, I have to appreciate the work, and I have to know a little bit how it is made, so I can know that it is not an easy task. So I think the best way to engage somebody or the public in science or uh, communicate the importance of science is just by knowing science, to have good examples of the development of science, and to appreciate it by knowing it.
Thank you. So Alejandra, do you have any other questions? I think we have taken as many as we could from the Q&A,
Yes.
And of course we can also share more afterwards. We can share the questions with the speakers and share the answers on our website and social media, unless you have something that you want to add before we say goodbye.
Yes, I would like to say that I hope this webinar, which is the beginning, because we might have a second one, right?
Yes.
I hope it will strengthen our ties to work together in the world. And I was very impressed about the thoughtfulness and coordination of Maisa and her team to put this together and organize this webinar in coordination with Red Pop. So it has been my pleasure to be here and to be part of it. And I hand over to Maisa to finish.
Well, thank you, Alejandra, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ashraf and Marwa and Salvador. We really appreciate it. It's not easy to get this and have both ends of the world and with such a big time difference. And we have seen a lot of interest from our audience, and we're very happy. And again, we are going to have the recording on our website and YouTube channel. And we are organizing another webinar that we will be announcing very soon, in addition to other, of course, webinars that NAMES organizes, but another webinar in the series specifically with Red Pop for the celebration of International Day of Scientific Culture. So I thank the speakers, the presenters one last time, and Alejandra and the audience. And I hope that you will stay in touch and you'll continue to follow us. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.